The 805 Focus is brought to you in part by Nonprofit Connect. Nonprofit Connect provides superior leadership tools and resources so nonprofit leaders and board members can make valuable decisions to move their organization forward to a sustainable and vibrant future. More information on services online at nonprofitconnect.org.
Welcome to 805 Focus. I'm Dr. Cynder Sinclair with Nonprofit Connect, and we will be bringing you the latest on your favorite nonprofits. So get ready to be inspired. Our special guest today is Jan Campbell, and Jan is the Executive Director of Domestic Violence Solutions. Welcome, Jan.
Thank you, Cynder. It's good to be here. It's good to see you.
Oh gosh, I'm just so glad that you're here today.
Me too. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and I know Domestic Violence Solutions has been busy with a lot of important work and big projects, and so I'm hoping you'll tell us all about it.
I will. I'm happy to. So for members of your audience that are not familiar with Domestic Violence Solutions, we are a county-wide organization. Our mission is to help and support those individuals and families that are fleeing domestic violence. We have 2 emergency shelters, one in Santa Barbara and one in Santa Maria.
Okay.
We also have an apartment building in Santa Barbara that is housing for permanent housing for domestic violence survivors. We have a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week crisis line that's fully staffed. We do presentations. We educate particularly young people on how to avoid unhealthy relationships, which ultimately can lead to a domestic violence situation. So the organization has been in Santa Barbara County since 1977. It was originally Shelter Services for Women.
Right.
Now we serve, of course, all genders, but we've been doing good work for all that time. It's good work, it's hard work, but it's good work.
Yeah, 1977.
When people thought that domestic violence was just a family issue, it wasn't even criminalized. So,
oh golly.
Yeah, we've come a long way. We still have a long way to go, but we've come a long way.
Yeah, we can't get involved with that. That's a family issue.
Yeah, exactly. And
I remember those days.
Remember, and it's an underreported syndrome, and we refer to it as, actually it's the CDC coined this term, it's a silent epidemic.
Yeah.
And every October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and the theme for the 2021 is Everyone Knows One. Everyone knows someone. So you don't know, you could be at Trader Joe's, you could be walking down State Street, and you could look around and know that 1 out of every 4 women has suffered domestic violence, and actually 1 out of every 7 men also. So it's really prevalent.
Those are staggering statistics.
Very staggering.
1 out of every 4 women,
and 1 out
of every 7 men.
Yes. And we do take men into our shelters, and we've had actually quite a few this year, which, of course, as you know, this year has been, well, the last 19 months with COVID has been quite the wild ride, I just want to say.
Yeah. I want to hear more about that. How has that impacted the organization?
So it's been very interesting. It's almost like we've lived like 3 or 4 lifetimes, because if you remember, the shelter-in-place order in California came down in March of 2020.
Yeah.
Soon as that order came down, all of our crisis line calls dropped off. Same with law enforcement, because isolation and manipulation are 2 of the main tools that abusers use to control their victims. Domestic violence, is about power and control. And so we were hearing stories later on about how the clients, their abusers, would tell them, you can't, all the shelters are closed, you can't go anywhere, you have to stay home. And so as you remember, we didn't even have tests. We couldn't even get tested. Fortunately for us, we have our facilities. The Santa Barbara facility is kind of like a big dorm, has rooms and individual rooms, but a big shared space. And then our Santa Maria facility is an apartment building. So we were able to isolate people or take people that started coming back into the shelter in Santa Barbara, move them to Santa Maria, and then kind of rotate them around once they were quarantined. As COVID evolved, we saw a dramatic increase in crisis line calls. So we were very busy. People were wondering, again, we got a ton of calls. Are you guys open? Can you help me? Where can I go?
Oh, golly.
We were very fortunate that we did receive quite a bit of funding, government funding, and we were able to put people in hotels. So that in Santa Barbara, if they had children or they had employment issues, so that was very helpful. And then as the pandemic sort of ebbed and flowed, our numbers kind of went along with that.
Yeah.
But once again, when things are shut down, a lot of people, unfortunately, again, and the level of mental wellness really went down.
Yeah,
because
right.
I mean, you're already dealing with trauma. You're a victim of violence or emotional abuse. Now you're worried about getting sick. You're worried about your children. We had people come into our shelters that had 2 and 3 children, and they were trying to homeschool them and do their work. So I was very proud of our agency that we were able to pivot on a lot of different, the way we delivered our services. One really amazing light at the end of the tunnel that came out of this is we were able to implement a fully HIPAA compliant telehealth counseling system.
Oh, wow.
And it's been phenomenally successful because our clinical staff usually only worked with people in the shelters. So when we got this telehealth system, now we were able to work with non-residential clients. So maybe to prevent them from coming into the shelter, so that they could work out some of their issues, so that we could educate people about what you would be so surprised, Cynder, of people that call and want to know if they're in a domestic violence situation. Well, he or she is restricting my access. I mean, there's no violence, but I can't go out and I don't have any financial freedom. That is all intimate partner abuse. And so we were able to really utilize this telehealth system so that we could educate people and help so many more people. So that's the lemonade that we made out of lemons. But we've morphed so many different times. Our staff, our frontline advocate staff is so good. They're so dedicated. But they've taken on a lot of the trauma themselves. And so we've had to do, we just had an amazing self-care workshop for them. We've done all kinds of courses and support for them so that they can stay strong, not bring all that home with them.
That is great.
Yeah, so it's been good. I'm hoping that we're sort of seeing a downhill trend in terms of the COVID, and then we can go back out and do our community education work. We kind of had to curtail all of our prevention and community outreach because nothing was open.
Right.
Yeah, so that's kind of where we are.
So will you continue the telehealth after?
Yes.
What a blessing
It was such a blessing. Actually, I have a friend who runs a for-profit marriage and family counseling clinic down south, and she said they're never going back to fully in-house. Because people feel more comfortable. They don't have to get, there's sort of, I mean, I'm not a clinician, but there's a little bit of a, what do they call it? Not a wall, but sort of the veil, sort of like in the theater. Yeah. So you can be a lot more open and share a lot more, that instead of sitting in front of someone trying to get to the core of what your issues are. We also have fantastic, I do want to mention this because I hope your listeners will pick up on this. We've gotten quite a bit of funding from the California Office of Emergency Services for housing. And so, as you know, housing in Santa Barbara County is very difficult. It's hard to find. Oftentimes people that are our clients, they may have credit issues. A big part of DV is financial abuse or not having a job. So we have actual rent subsidies. We've worked also with United Way and with the county housing and community development department to get money to survivors that may need security deposits or rent subsidies. Part of the grant that we have also provides for childcare, because you were a working mom.
Yeah.
Housing plus childcare that's almost your whole paycheck.
Yeah.
So, and oftentimes all of our clients are considered homeless because they're fleeing domestic violence. So, but that's been an amazing program. We also have a life and job skills program, and the staff, the woman that runs that is a licensed clinical social worker. She's amazing, and so she works with our clients, both in shelter and non-residential, to help them gain some type of financial confidence, if you will. So helps them with their resumes, job searches, just those general life skills that you and I may have picked up along the way.
Yeah.
What kind of insurance they need, so that you don't get in a pickle and then you're dependent on the abuser. So those, our core services, I'm very proud of our core services, but the housing, the counseling, and the life and job skills have really been just some real game changers for our clients. So
sounds like a real lifeline that you're offering many people.
I think it is. Domestic violence, it's hard for people to break out of the cycle.
Yeah.
But, and I do want to say that, and because you've worked in the sector for so long, the nonprofit and the community-based organizations in Santa Barbara County are wonderful.
Yeah.
The safety net that is provided by all, and we only deal with one portion of someone's issues, but we have Legal Aid Foundation, CALM, Food Bank, Good Samaritan up north, Transition House is amazing, St. Vincent's, Boys and Girls Club. One of the things that the pandemic did was bring us all so much closer together. And then of course we have our wonderful funders, the Santa Barbara Foundation, Hutton Parker, the Bauer Foundation. It's such a good community to work in, and it's, even though, as I said before, the work is really hard, when you see someone take advantage of the opportunities, it's really, it's very rewarding, and it makes up for, all the really negative things that we see all the time. So I'm so fortunate to have been able to do this work. I really am very grateful.
Well, they are fortunate to have you, my dear.
Well, I hope so. I'm hoping that the holidays, are a little dicey.
Yeah.
But we're fully staffed. Again, I do want to point out, I know this is on our website, but it'll probably come up. I really want to encourage anyone that needs information about our services or feels they need just someone to speak to. They can call our 24-hour crisis and information line, which is 805. I always have to look just to make sure. 805-964-5245, and there's always someone there to answer the phone. Even if it's just a question about where I might get help. We get calls actually all over the county, but all over the Central Coast as well. Yeah. And we work in very good concert with our sister agencies down in Ventura, which is Interface, and also San Luis Obispo as well. Because DV doesn't really domestic violence really doesn't recognize county lines. So
isn't that the truth?
We get a lot of we have a lot of cross referring.
So lots of collaboration, I'm hearing.
Yes, it's what's really helpful to people. Well, you know what it's like when you have to kind of go, okay, well, who do I call for this and what do I do for this? And then you get into voicemail jail and then you can't figure out what to do. So when a client comes in to our shelter, we get them settled, we get them organized, try to get them calm. And then we do what is known in the social sector as case management. And so case management is, where are you? And we do it in a trauma-informed, very client-centered methodology, because you don't ever want to make someone feel guilty or feel like or you don't want to tell people what to do.
Yeah.
Because people have to come to that sort of the realization themselves. So we do case management. We find out what their needs are. Oftentimes, one of their biggest needs, of course, is safety, shelter. We put together a safety plan for them because unfortunately, many people will leave and go back to the abuser, and so they really need to know sort of what they should put maybe in a to-go bag, get all their documents, all of that. And then we work through what are their other needs. Oftentimes, the largest need other than housing is legal. So they're dealing with restraining orders, they're dealing with custody issues. So we work very closely with the Legal Aid Foundation to refer people back and forth. CALM, we refer quite a few clients for they specialize obviously in child abuse and children's services, so we work very heavily with them. And then obviously we collaborate with the food bank because we're one of their many clients. And then we work closely with the government agencies, the social services, behavioral wellness, get people on CalFresh or CalWorks. And so it's interesting because I've worked in this community for so long, I'm not even going to tell you like when dinosaurs were roaming the earth. But there are so many social community-based organizations, and knowing who to connect who with and doing what we call a warm handoff. So you're not just giving somebody a phone number. And that was one of the things too about COVID that was very challenging because when we first started, we did remote case management via Zoom, and we had computers for the clients. And all of our advocates are bilingual and bicultural, so that's a requirement. But oftentimes there are forms that have to be filled out, and you have to sit with someone while they go through that, and then they call, they have to make an appointment. And so many of our agencies were impacted also just by staffing issues, and that's been the most challenging. And I think that's everywhere. I mean, you just walk down State Street and there's a sign in every retail store saying, help wanted. Right. So it's really difficult. And we have it was very important to me to take care of my staff, to, pay them a living wage, give them good benefits.
Good for you.
Well.
And smart.
Well, it's a hard job, and oftentimes our advocates are coming right out of school, or maybe they're in the process of getting their social worker credentials or marriage and family counselor accreditation. But I really believe that if you take care, and especially in our business, if you take care of your staff, they take care of the clients. Yeah. It's kind of the old Nordstrom model. Which I miss Nordstrom, by the way.
I do too. I was just telling
anyway. So, but it's this kind of work. It's never boring. Never,
I'm sure of that.
Never ever boring. There's always something going on, and I've learned a lot about certainly how people treat each other. I've certainly learned a lot about gratitude and privilege, and I'm just. I've raised two daughters. My oldest daughter's 32, my youngest is 28, and they're both in really great, amazing, healthy relationships. But I see a lot of people and I can see it now where I didn't see it before, that there's a lot of control on both sides. And so, we're trying to really encourage people to really understand how to take responsibility for their own life, for their children's lives, how to set boundaries.
Gosh, that's so important. Let's talk a minute about your funding.
Okay.
So let's just say somebody's watching this and they're saying, man, these guys are doing such important work. I think I want to see how to make a financial donation.
That would be awesome.
So you're a 501c3. Tax deductible donations are accepted.
Yes.
A person can probably go on your website, and I bet you have a Donate Now button.
We do have a Donate Now button, and yes, please, I would encourage. Sometimes people think, oh, well, I only have $25 or this or that, but everything helps, and everything is greatly appreciated. We do take in-kind contributions.
Okay, tell us about that. What kinds of things do you need and do you not need?
Yes, thank you. So Probably the biggest item that we need are for our shelters is bedding. So we have all brand new twin beds in each of the rooms. So we always need twin bedding. And I've gone out to Ross or Marshall's myself and purchased that. Towels are...
But you want new bedding?
Yes, absolutely new bedding. We do occasionally take clothing for children or even for babies. Before the pandemic, we took gently used clothing. I always tell people, it's like, if you went into a thrift store, would you buy this?
Yeah.
Sort of like... but since the pandemic, we've really restricted the amount of used items that we've taken. So the best thing to do is call or go on our website and send our development officer an email and ask if this is something that we need.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, our corporate partners have been great. Yardi, Deckers, a lot of the big corporations, the Amazon women. They have been fantastic. They'll do drives for us. Like we needed I called it a duffel bag drive, because when people leave the shelter, they were leaving with just their items in a garbage bag.
Oh gosh.
And that's no way to start a new life. So we did a duffel bag. The Amazon women did a duffel bag collection for us, and it was amazing. So there's we usually list on our website the things that we need, and everything is appreciated. Certainly, and as you know, being in the nonprofit sector, cash is the best gift.
Yes.
We also we have our agency endowment with the Santa Barbara Foundation, and they take care of if anyone out there has end of the year appreciated stock, because you know how the stock market.
Yes.
Let me know, and then we can arrange that. We just got a very nice donation from someone that contributed appreciated stock. That way they don't have to pay the capital gains.
Right.
And then of course, for those people that have a required minimum distribution,
exactly.
Instead of taking that, if you don't need it, instead of taking it as ordinary income, you can make a direct gift of that to 501c3.
Yeah,
so
that is perfect.
But thank you for asking me about the funding, Cynder. I was going off on the programs.
Yes,
I'm glad you brought me back down to earth.
So we have about a minute left.
Okay.
Is there anything else you'd like the audience to know about domestic violence solutions?
Wow.
There's so much.
There's so much. It's, again, I do want to mention, this is just one little, this is a fun thing, and people love this. So oftentimes, abusers will obviously they use children as pawns, but they use pets as pawns. And I'm such a pet lover. And so we have this amazing memorandum of understanding and agreement with Care for Paws. And
that's
they
a great
are
organization.
wonderful. And we don't take animals into the shelter unless they're service animals, but they will take the dog or cat or whatever, that's all we've dealt with so far, and they will foster those animals until the client gets out of shelter. And when you see people reunited with their pets,
oh golly, yeah.
I mean, I don't know what I would do without my dogs, but so they reached out to us, and so we did that. So we want to help people rebuild their lives without abuse, so that they can see a roadmap in front of them. Particularly, I mean, in such a beautiful place that we live in Santa Barbara County, it's hard to see people suffering, and I know there's a lot of that going on now. I wish we could wave our magic wand and say stop. But,
that would be nice.
But my last thing is, if someone comes to you and they want to tell you a story, first of all, believe them. Give them our crisis and information line to help them they're not alone. That's what people want to know. They're not alone. This isn't just happening to them. Remember the statistics: 1 out of every 4 women, 1 out of every 7 men. So you're not alone.
Gosh,
so
that is an important message.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for all the great, wonderful, vital work that you're doing.
Thank you for having me, Cynder. It's always a pleasure to see you. You're so fun. And thank you for doing the good work you do.
Thank you. And thank you for joining us on 805 Focus, and we'll see you next time.